Welcome to a brand new day in crypto. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for being here. Today, we are talking about another super interesting conversation. Of course, what happens next? What do we do? It looks like the Bitcoin ETFs are going to be approved. Not just one, not two, again, up to about 13, at least multiple by January the 10th. This is huge stuff. Today, I'm going to show you some of the more bullish reasons why, yes, things have changed in the last 24 hours since our last live stream. We've got more updates on these ETFs being progressed. It's looking quite good, guys. And, I've flipped, and there's a big part of crypto and being an investor, just like any good trader, being malleable, being formless, shapeless like water, as Bruce Lee once said. Right? We have to consistently stay up to date, and why it's very important for us to stay on the news, right? And this is just going to go to show that, you have to stay on top of the macro news, crypto news, but also individual altcoin news, because this happens for your altcoins. Day-to-day things change, which is why it's unfeasible to have 20 altcoins. If you work a 9 to 5 family, friends, and you're a very outgoing person, bring it in. Let's talk. First of all, how are you all doing today? Let's have a look. Let's have a quick see and hear about what everyone is up to today. Jack, hello. What's going on, my man? Hey, Patrick, what's going on? Matt, good to see you in here, brother. Iris, Israel, hopefully you're doing well over there, man, and you're all safe. Jeez, that's crazy stuff. Let's go Hbar indeed. Rune is smashing it. We'll look at some of the biggest gainers this last week in the top 500 coins in just a second here. What up, Chili 619? Good morning, my man. Look, on the topic of good morning, before we carry on here, I want to say I am finding it increasingly difficult to not have a nap before these live streams. I'm normally up at about 4 in the morning, and I do these about 6 p.m. I'm thinking about trialing out earlier in the morning, which for all of you over in like the UK or / Europe, it would be your evening, and for those in the US, likely around then. I always get confused, but likely your afternoon sometime as well. It gets harder and harder to just keep my 100% mind on the ball when it comes to doing this in the evening, right? As you can imagine. So we'll see. Just let me know what you guys think about this. I'll read the comments after the live stream. Go back and listen to the live reacts and what you guys think, by the way, about that. Of course, if this time suits you, you're going to prefer this time. But let's talk a little bit about what is to come. I'm going to flip. There we go. That's what I like to see. All right. So, okay. The charts. Well, the heat map. First of all, let's just, again, we spoke about this 24 hours ago. I'm not going to put too much emphasis on it. Bitcoin's up. Now, this, of course, is the last 7 days. When you're talking about a multi-billion dollar project, almost trillion-dollar project at this stage, asset, the fact that it's moved up 11% in the last 24 hours is rather weak, is pretty insane. Dominance at 52% right now. Most of the markets are. Actually, it's interesting because its dominance is pushing. It's pushing, right? It's not maintaining, it's pushing. And this is what typically happens, right? This is why I don't like the waterfall, right? Maybe we'll touch on the waterfall later on in the live stream, but the waterfall, Bitcoin, Ethereum, large cap, so on and so forth, well, that's a good way, an indication to say, hey, this is what is likely to come next. Ethereum is likely to pump next once Bitcoin finds a bit of a retracement. You shouldn't try to emulate your research, your investment strategy after that, rather, because chances are you're not going to catch that perfectly. You're going to be one step behind, even if it is by a matter of a day or so or a few hours, and you're likely going to be buying altcoins at a bad time. Like if you're constantly trying to chase the tail of the market, you're going to be paying lots of tax, and I just wouldn't recommend it for even an expert investor. It's not worth it, right? Stick with your guns and make the money on the guns. It's just a stupid idea if you do that. So, biggest gainers this week in the top 500. I've never heard of this. Agorist before. A lot of these coins pump. But what I have heard is the next two, right? They've now outclassed Terra Classic. Aurora made a video on Near Protocol last night. Aurora is one of the permanent side chains, or you say shards, right? Independent networks that run in parallel to Near Protocol. It's always going to be there. Aurora, okay? The permanent Ethereum EVM compatible network. I effectively see them as almost like a side chain to Ethereum, or a layer 2 to Ethereum at this point, right? There is a great bridge that runs between the two, and they pumped up a hell of a lot today. I think it reached $1, right? I might be, well, actually, I was going to talk about them later on, but screw it. I may as well just touch on it briefly now. Last 7 days over here. Today's technically the 4th for all you Americans. 15 cents went up to 60 cents. Well, I think it was a little bit more than that, to be honest with you. You know that CoinMarketCap doesn't really respond to that accurately. Also, Big Time. We made a video on Big Time, like 3 days ago, 4 days ago now. It's maybe in a bit longer. I'm not too sure when that video came out. It came out with a gaming video a few days ago. Anyway, Big Time was definitely mentioned over there, of course, and they've pumped up. Great to see. Actually, this was a call from Mark, my 2IC, the main man himself. He put me onto Big Time before that video. I looked into it. It was great, and it's good to see that his call was paying off. That was basically his call, right? That was his call. So I'm really really glad to see that. If you guys executed on that, well, props. Right? It's a lot of money. It's a 4x, not a 3x to 4x. All right, good stuff. So let's get into the topic of today, right? It looks like these ETFs are going to be approved. It looks like these ETFs are going to be approved. But before we do, this is a perfect segue, I believe, into that topic, which is the market being, or at least what's coming next, right? The market being where it is right now. If you haven't experienced a bull run before, and this is typically what I've found in crypto, there is an alternative sentiment brewing underneath the surface, likely when something's popping off, whether it's a bear market, whether it's a really big bull scenario like we're in right now, something could be brewing. Now, this article, I'm not going to show you through this article from CoinDesk here, right? Bitcoin rallied to 42,000, fueled by panic buying. That's what I feel like it is. That's what I'm going to leave it for this article, right? I feel like what's progressed so far has been nothing more than panic buying. What else is this is another word of saying FOMO, right? FOMO has fueled this because of these ETFs. Again, 10th of January looks to be the date latest that they're all going to, like most of them will be approved. And that's a month away, right? So a lot of people are starting to get a little bit FOMO here. And that's part of the reason. Also, they do touch on other reasons like lower interest rates, right? What else do they say here? Flows into digital asset funds supported as well, right? So multitude of things, but I think primarily it's because of these ETFs. Yeah, the lower interest rates also as well. And then it kind of, when I was like scrolling Twitter earlier in the week, I come across a few different posts, right? I come across this earlier today from JRNY Crypto. Now, Tony, which is his name, was someone who I watched a lot in the last bull run before I started really getting into like understanding crypto myself, before I had enough, before I was like, you know what, I got screwed hard here. I want to learn from the guy or guys who I thought knew it all, right? And Tony was one of them. And this guy definitely does know a lot. He hasn't been making content recently, which is unfortunate. I remember he called out influencers who would have stopped making content in the bear market, and he became one of them. But I want to give the man some respect, right? He's made some calls, he hasn't. So a bit of 50-50 here. But either way, what does he say? He says, things are moving quick in the crypto market right now, but just remember we had a similar run in 2019. Okay, and again, that's where we basically are in this cycle right now. That followed one of the worst crashes I've seen just before the last Bitcoin halving. I wouldn't be surprised to see at least one more market correction before the bull run starts, but he also says he's happy to go full bull. But I think that was more of a safety net, if you will. I feel like, and this is again what I also do think, there is some sort of correction to happen, but I don't think there will be a correction for a while if these ETFs are approved. I think it's going to be absolute pandemonium in the space here. Like basically, I mean, I was pretty confident in a Bitcoin in 2025 going between 100 and no more than 150K, if that. Like 125K seems reasonable to me. But if these are all approved, then God, who really knows? I still don't see them going above 200K, but I think it's going to be insane. And I think definitely 2024 will be a very bullish year indeed. We are due for a pullback, but of course, what does he say? A correction, a big correction, right? At least 20% plus on the global market. And then I came across one of my favorite influencers over here on Twitter, Nagato. And he said this basically the same day as well. Time zones might have worked out a bit differently here. He said, and he quotes this, by the way, "The market is rising too rapidly. A huge correction is imminent. There is big resistance for Bitcoin at around 40K. As you can imagine, this was written before that happened. I'll sell here, but buy back lower. Easy game." Now, that's quoted. That's what we're all thinking, right? Too many people are eyeing this scenario, he says. What if $40,000 acts like butter instead, and then a new all-time high soon? If you know, you know. Now, obviously, he wrote this, and we've breached the 40K mark. We touched the 42K mark, but I think it still stands, right? It still stands. Who really knows? This is the mind games of crypto. So this is going to bring me on to, again, I've just deleted the tab. Give me 1 second here, people. Technical difficulties. Of course, I've hit that. The premise, and it's going to get rid of the highlighted section. It is what it is. We press on. So this was what I'm going to show you, and I've highlighted a whole bunch of stuff. But anyway, so James Seffert, I think that might be how you pronounce his name, right? This guy has been on top of the Bitcoin ETF news lately, okay? And this is going to bring me to, again, touch on the main point I want to make here in a second. Look at this. 10 hours ago, right, Bitcoin Archive posted this. They said Bitwise, which is one of those issuers of a spot ETF, the guys who propose a spot ETF, just updated its application, its S1 application, basically, right? Okay, cool. Well, what does that really mean? Well, hang on a second here. Also, iShares, okay, BlackRock, did the same thing. Again, same night. What does he say here? What does this mean? Without having read them, so he hasn't read them, and I'm not going to read them, because if he hasn't read them, I don't know what the fuck they're going to say. This is like talking Chinese to me, right? Of course, reading these is a very long, tedious thing as well. But what we can assume, I'm sounding like an absolute idiot if this is completely adverse, but again, what this is essentially saying is the wheel is turning. Both the SEC and these issuers are working hard to iron things out. These are all happening at the same time. There's communication happening between either of these two parties, the SEC and any of these issuers, right? These filings are likely the result of many conversations and a lot of man hours between both sides, like I just said, okay? So again, things are happening, and I wish I can find the form that I had up last night. You guys would have seen it anyway. It was the filings form of the dates. Basically, that's it, but not quite. Let's see if I can find it here for you. Here we go. So these are the pending requests, and it looks like again the 10th is going to be the roundabout date these all progress. And so as you can see here, the S1A filed. These have all been revisited to meet the standards of whatever the SEC is proposing or asking from these issuers. So this begs the question, right? I am starting to strongly believe here things in life tend to not happen for just random reasons, right? Especially when it comes to these markets. The writing is typically on the walls, and we're all naive. We're all stupid. We're all tiny little retail money. We don't really look at the warning signs and put A plus B together, and we end up going, oh, after the fact, oh, that was obvious. That was obvious. So I strongly do believe that these are going to be approved, or at least multiple of these will be approved on mid-January, January 10th. All right? Because that's the date you want to be on your ball. You want to say, all right, friends, family, loved one, everyone in my life, just hold your horses for a second, because this is going to be the difference between me making money here or potentially having to lock the seatbelt back in and maybe wait things out a few more months, right? I.e., the market crashes. So there's two types of investments, and this is going to play into the premise of what I'm talking about here. Because I've had a few people message me and say, Kyron, like, I want to be exposed to crypto. I'm mainly out right now. Maybe you're someone in the middle. Maybe you're like me who's 90% in the market, right? And you're thinking, well, like, what if we crash? What do I do? Like, my crypto's going to be down again. It's going to take like 6 to 8 months to get back again. Like, what happens? Well, this is why it's important to have two types of bags, right? Conversely, if you're someone who's got nothing in the market right now, think about it like this. The main bags are your bags in which you really should have a minimum of 90% of your main crypto in plus 12 months out from the top of the market. Now, like I was talking with a gentleman in my Discord yesterday, who knows when the top might be? The top might be, I've never thought of it before, late 2024. So, I mean, like, we just don't know. Okay. I would think, if anything, like, late 2025, maybe pushing 2026. But again, we don't know. Okay. Especially with this new big factor, with all these ETFs, these spot ETFs being entered in. So you want to minimize your capital gains tax, that big tax that will take a massive chunk out of your portfolio. That's your main bags. Again, 90% of all the money you own should be main bags. Now, the small bags over here are the remaining 10% that you can afford to do two things with. You can afford to buy new altcoins that spawn in a bull market, or you can buy the dip with your existing altcoins with the small bags, right? Again, that you're exposing yourself essentially to capital gains tax, right? Again, that increase in the tax deducted from your earnings, okay? So in this case, it's better safe than sorry. So what I would go ahead and say, and what I've done here is I've put 90% of my funds in. I've bought 90% of my allocation. And I've got about $10,000 on the side ready to put into the market, okay? Because if we crash here, if these are denied, okay, and I don't think they will be. Again, the title of this video, and in my opinion, based on what's progressing so far here from what we've seen, what James has been reporting on, I mean, I think it's pretty irrefutable that the SEC is ironing things out, in the words of James here, with what comes next, right? With, let's make sure all this is up to standards. These are the standards we're setting. Submit your S1, filings or forms back to us, and off to the races in January. And you cannot afford to have your main bags out in January, in my opinion, in January 2024. Especially around, I would even say, have them in before the 1st. Screw your New Year's resolutions. Do that stuff now, okay? And this is not financial advice here. But this is way too risky for you to just go on a feeling, okay? So the question stands, what do we do now? What do we do now? I would say to everyone out there that has more than 10% of their cash on the side, right? Now, this came straight out of my course, by the way, this whole premise, this whole, I guess you could say, document here, not really a document, but this extract come out of my course. We talk more about capital gains tax and all that sort of stuff in there and stuff. But what I would say to everyone, and what we should do next, is find those altcoins that match your particular investor profile. How much can you risk in the market? Therefore, that dictates what altcoins you buy, and how much you're looking to make out of the market. What's your return on investment? If I'm someone that, like, personally speaking, I'm happy to risk 50% of whatever I put into crypto. Therefore, that essentially means I can buy 50% of my portfolio in small caps / micro caps, right? Altcoins basically around and under $500 million. All right. Now, personally, I want a 20 to 30x out of the market, right? So that essentially means that I can dedicate a good chunk of my portfolio to go on the higher side of that, and then play the other 50% of my portfolio to the large caps like Hbar, XLM, maybe even Solana and stuff, and play the lower to the 20x side. But again, the goal is to make that money. You don't want to be greedy in this case. You don't want to be greedy and go out and say, well, you know what? I actually want to achieve a 50x on this altcoin, da-da-da-da. You know, some of these altcoins can most definitely hit a 50x. I just don't think you guys really understand just how much money is going to be in the space. And I've tried in these recent videos to, like, express that in terms of market dominance percentage. But if we really do see, this 5 to 10 trillion level market cap, and I think if Bitcoin's dominance doesn't like exceed 60%, some crazy percentage where most of the market is Bitcoin, so like it doesn't really change things, then yes, we're going to see absolutely like projects like Hbar most definitely being able to 50x. Okay, but you don't want to like play that card. You want to play the card of working within your risk profile and just securing whatever multiples you're looking at, 20x to me to 30x. And the reason I came to the 20 to 30x was for one thing and one thing only, working back from my goals. Again, I made a video on this recently. If you're not up to speed on my videos, you really need to. It tells a story, right? It's a long story. I have to own 4 residential properties in Australia at roughly $600,000 each. So based on how much money I'm putting in the market, right, which essentially, if we have a dip here, I've got 10,000 cash on the side of my small bags. I have to make, I think from memory, it was like $3 million. Or no, it wasn't. It was 2.7, including tax. But I think rounding up to 3 million is fine. So yeah, we're looking for that sweet spot, 2.7 mil. And that'll get me to owning my properties, making 80K passive income a year, living the life I want to live. So that's how we come out with all this information. So that's what I would do if I was you next. Again, if you haven't done this, I've made a course on this. I mean, that's why I made the course, was to like specifically tell you guys in this situation, hey, go watch these 10 videos. No, it was to say, hey, go watch this course to tell you all you need to know. I'm not trying to shill you my course. That's why I freaking made the thing. So anyway, without saying that too much, that's what I would do. Be careful, please. January is going to dictate a lot of things here. So I'm sorry to ramble on about that, but I just want to I have a vested interest in you succeeding, because why can't 40,000 of us, people who watch my channel, do well in the bull run? There's millions of people in this damn industry. We can do it. We can do it. We just have to be exact. I don't want to go on a tangent here, but please, if you're someone like my old friend was, who just couldn't man up and wake up a little earlier in the morning, I had to get my 8 to 9 hours sleep in. Bitch, please. 8 to 9 hours sleep, what are you? Are you 100 years old? No. Back then, he was 22 years old. Get up. You can do it. Tough love. Tough love. All right? Anyway, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we have some big news as well. Again, best intentions here, really. Best intentions, that's all it is. So Hbar has also got some big news recently. We've seen Algorand partnering with the likes of the United Nations recently on some things with education-based, right? They were working with the UN bringing blockchain tech to 22,000 of their employees, right, around the world. Again, a big part of crypto being adopted is education. This is what Silvio McCarley, the founder of Algorand, I recently been listening to podcasts of his. He mentioned that straight out the books. Also, the CEO and founder of Casper Labs. He also, on a recent video I watched as well, so the biggest hurdle for blockchain is the education. And so, of course, Algorand's pushing that. Well, Hbar actually partnered with these guys to work on an Envision blockchain, which is to help transform carbon credits. Right? So there's a bit of a story behind this. I'm going to keep it as brief as possible. Basically, at the 2023 UN Climate Change Conference called COP28, we'll look at what COP28 is in a second here. Envision blockchain showcased new emission tracking and carbon credit platforms utilizing blockchain and artificial intelligence technology. So Envision specializes in techniques for digitizing carbon credits. Now, we know Hbar is, of course, right now, one of the bigger players in the whole carbon credits, or at least tracking emissions area, right? And enabling transparency in emissions tracking. Specifically, Envision blockchain has introduced a managed guardian service. Hang on, Hbar has their guardian service, right? It's like the whole energy ESG compliance sort of aspect of Hbar, tracking all these carbon credits and emissions and stuff. Built on Hedera Hashgraph technology to simplify creating, managing digital environment assets like carbon credits. This service aims to bring more efficiency, transparency, and growth to the vulnerability carbon market. So essentially, Hbar is working basically with the UN on this project, Envision Blockchain, called Managed Guardian Service, MGS, which was created from Hbar's technology to help essentially track this all. And again, this was a part of a joint venture between Hbar and I'm pretty sure the UN. Now, what is COP28? Well, essentially, COP is the Conference of Parties to the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. What an acronym is that? UNFCCC is an international climate change summit, which is held annually. At COPs, world leaders gather and work together on solutions to tackle climate change. This is a big F you to all those people who were like raging on about me. Climate change isn't a real thing, Kyron. And well, that's a topic I want to talk about another day. Again, not getting political here, but I don't think it's as serious as what people think it is. Nevertheless, it's definitely what the elites want us to believe it is. So it is important as far as an investment goes. So there is now 198 parties, including 197 countries, plus the EU that attend the convention, constituting near universal membership, right? So basically the whole world's coming together and looking at this sort of stuff. And so, of course, Hbar being a big part of it on this, again, tracking carbon credits is a big thing, guys. Blockchain is going to be a very useful part of this because it's immutable, transparent, right? This stuff is shady. And of course, places like the UN or the World Economic Forum, as much as we hate those guys, they're going to be shoving this down, businesses' throats, more so like the larger businesses, right? Hey, you guys, how much energy are you using? Oh, you're using too much. Carbon credits for that? Well, where's the proof? Oh, it's on Hbar, in this case, the Envision blockchain, right? Built with Hbar tech. So there's a whole bunch of stuff here. Hbar put out this like long thread of all their attended, I guess you could say, conferences, where this guy mainly was speaking. Wes was speaking at a lot of these different things over there, representative, of course, of Foundation. So yeah, big stuff for Hbar. Also QNT, pretty interesting over here. They've integrated with Zapier. You guys know what Zapier is. I was using these guys for a little bit as well. They're a very big automation company. And we could read all through this. Basically, Quant's integrated within their platform now, essentially allowing people, everyday people, including people who want to utilize blockchain services, can integrate them into Zapier. Now, I sign into my Zapier account, and look at this, right? So it's kind of complicated, and by no means am I a Zapier expert. I've hired people to do my Zapier stuff before, but as you can see, choose and, we can change the trigger in this case, and the trigger can be, if we type in Overledger, boom, there it is. There's Overledger. We can choose the event, right? Create webhook, creates a webhook to monitor either a user's blockchain account or smart contract. Do a whole bunch of stuff in there. And again, it's just in beta, so I expect there to be more events able to be used as well. Now, this is big, right? If you've heard of Zapier, you know what I'm talking about here. Zapier is quite big, especially it's like a go-to in the world of automation. So yeah, this is just one step in the right direction, I think, for QNT. Also, Cosmos, ladies and gentlemen, Cosmos, of course, is like a hub, if you will, of many different blockchain networks, right? And in this case, two of those networks, one large, one okay size one. So Osmosis, we should all know Osmosis, like the biggest DeFi platform, I believe, on Cosmos, and one of the biggest DeFi platforms, period, is now merging with another network called Yumi. I think that's how you pronounce it, right? Yumi. They're going to merge via a software upgrade. So Yumi, and I didn't know who they were before this, is a decentralized lending protocol that runs its own dedicated Cosmos chain called the UX chain. Again, Osmosis, as we should all know, is one of the largest DEXs on the ecosystem with $23 billion in cumulative volume and the fourth largest Cosmos chain in terms of total value locked. Most of us should know what Osmosis is. If you're using any sort of IBC network, which means any network connected to the Cosmos hub, chances are you've interacted with Osmosis before, right? Combining the two networks, so the lending app and the DEX are going to exist on the same chain now. The teams claim this will enable advanced features on the exchange that were previously not possible, including spot margin trading, shorting liquidations, stablecoin pools, interchain flash loans, MEV markets, and more. Now, there is no specific date for the merger, and they've stated here that the the UX chain token will still exist, and they're going to throw it to the community for ideas on tokenomics and stuff. So I don't know what's going to happen there. I'm sure there may be some proposal saying they're going to like merge the token. That would make sense to me. just throw it all under the Osmosis token banner. But the token pretty much hasn't launched over this news. When did this news come out? 12 hours ago. Last day, nothing's moved. Matter of fact, it's gone down a little bit, right? But this is some pretty substantial news because I think that when you partner like a comprehensive lending protocol with something like Osmosis, as they mentioned some of those features, things are going to get pretty insane. So if you're a holder of the Osmo token or Osmosis token, chances are there could be some bullish things. The market just might take some time. Again, we might have some pretty intense roadmap events coming out soon, which might see an event like AL's network, like we touched on last night's live stream, shoot the price up a few 100%. So this is something to look out for. This is like the indication, right? The writing on the wall, if you will. And again, the last bit of news I was going to touch on was the pump from Aurora. This was just pretty much going on the back of last night's news, but we touched on this earlier in the live stream. So let me hear what you all think. We have 50 comments to touch on down here. Again, I think for those just joining me for the first time right now, that you've all seen the title of this video. I think the next move is pretty obvious. I think Bitcoin, these ETFs, or at least multiple, whether that's 2, 3, 4 out of the 13 are going to be approved. I think BlackRock's iShares is definitely going to be. And maybe even, where is it here? Bitwise, because they just released their new S1 form. Okay. So yeah, what do you all think about this, right? Big stuff, big stuff, big stuff. Just be prepared. Have you watched the GTA 6 trailer? Yes, I did. And straight away, I was like, I liked it. Very short trailer. I want to buy a PS5 just to buy GTA 6. And then I saw at the very end coming in 2025. And I was like, oh. So actually, it's probably a good thing, man, because that money I'd buy a PS5, I didn't realize it's so expensive. Going to be used to buy more altcoins. Let's go. Live poor for the next. Live beneath your means, no matter where your means lies on the spectrum. Live beneath it for the next 12 months, or at least the next 12 months, to accumulate as much as you possibly can and live like a king post 2025. I don't know what else to say. To be honest, haven't bought. Why can't I see this? Haven't bought any cryptos since just before October, and I'm really about to YOLO in hard after seeing some of my crypto at 100% or more. Hell, even Gala is up for me 25%. And this is the thing, right? This is why I think having a split, understanding that your portfolio isn't just stable coins like cash and crypto, active crypto, rather big bags and small bags, like I described it before, is I think pretty important, because then you can like put a time frame on those tokens. Because whether the market crashes now in the next 1 month, because maybe these are all declined and pushed back to their latest possible time, which I'm going to have to scroll back here and find out where. I think it's like definitely within like December 2024. The deadlines will be for most of these. Let's have a look here. Yeah, basically like, I don't know, only March 2024, so not even that bad. Yeah, I think the final deadlines will most definitely be reached, in my opinion. So whether it's initially a bit of a correction here in January, I think we'll likely see some pretty positive news in 2024. And actually, matter of fact, I think that, to be honest, it might actually be even better if it fails now and succeeds in March, because we have the April halving a month later. So that'll be like a catalyst for even more bullish news, and we'll get a better time to buy our altcoins in. There's a correction in January. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of like, these are the two situations, but I think either way, we're going to have a very big 2024. What did you buy instead of the dot you sold? I bought, so the video is coming out tomorrow night on this. I bought Hbar. I own a little bit of Hbar right now. When I say a little bit, I mean a lot. Coin, we can look at Coin in a minute here. What's your thoughts on games that are out but haven't been released to the public? I'm thinking it will dump as soon as the public, because it will be dumping the tokens they earn. Well, that's why it's important to assess the vesting schedule. So if you can look at the vesting schedule of these tokens, and they have like the team members have a very sharp unlock at launch, that is a call for concern. And in that case, I wouldn't buy the token. But if the team are like, have their initial cliff, which means their initial unlock of tokens or a large unlock of tokens, like 12 months after the token launches, that's good. If they're a scam, you'll also find that the foundation has a lot of access to their tokens as well, because the foundation basically is the team. They have custody of those tokens. So be careful. Those are the two things I would have a look at, my man. And vesting is definitely a very, like, vesting schedules and token distributions. Those two concepts should be second nature to you as a crypto investor. Must learn that. Must learn it. Anzac, I have a family and haven't bought a single thing for myself in the last 12 months, all gone to crypto. My friend, you are going to succeed. I'm putting it out there to the universe, my friend. You're going to succeed and it's going to pay off. Your family is going to say to you, wow, you pissed us off, but it was for a good reason. I'm going to call it right now. Casper. We got the Casper guys in here. Caden says, Hbar is my biggest. I wouldn't usually say how much Hbar. It actually small, really, but 260K Hbar is decent. 300K was going to be the goal. Dude, 260,000 Hbar is a lot, dude. I believe Hbar will definitely go to $1. So that's 260K, my man. That's basically a house. That's good shit, man. Good shit. That's good. Hey, how's it going, G? At what point do you take profits? Being in the green up $4,000 to $5,000, do you take token amounts or wait until the increase is significantly more? Example, put $500 in and could sell all for $4,000. Do I wait? Let me read. I have some sort of, like, I don't know what it is. There actually is a term for it. But sometimes I have to read things multiple times. It's not like ADD or something, but I struggle to grab the concept of things initially. You should see me reading white papers. I fucking read the things 3 times. Okay. So if you're up 4 to 5K now, if you put like $500 in and you've 8x'd, maybe 9x'd, right? You're at about $4,000. Now in the market, I mean, I could take the case right now for Mina, right? You can do that, but here's the thing: like, the way I would look at the market, this is like my interpretation. Let me just put this down here. There we go. So where we are right now, okay, let me just try to draw, like, this is as best as I can. 2021, we're about here right now, okay? Yeah, I wanted to just try. I like to be as visual as I can. I think this is January. I think that the Bitcoin, let's assume here, because I strongly do believe that the ETFs will be approved, right? So if you cash out here, like where we are right now, and that it goes up, like, what are you buying basically? Like, the top 100 coins are all likely moving up, even Quant at that point, right? Let's hope so. And so you'll be buying, I believe you'll have to buy like mid to micro caps in order to actually utilize that money well. So just think about, like, I have the money, but think it through, because if you, Maddie, you're looking for like a 20x like I am, or a 30x, then I would just say keep your money in whatever project you've made that money on, man. Again, unless it's like a micro cap, or unless it's a project that it's like, I've made money, I can like top up my main bag. Like, maybe your main bag's Hbar. Then that would make a lot of sense. It's very situational. But generally speaking, again, I know not financial advice. What would I do? I would just hold those tokens, man. If it's a coin that you like, I mean, you've obviously bought in at a good price. So who knows what might happen when the Bitcoin ETFs approve when this happens. And we might have a bit of a correction over here, but your altcoin, you might never be at those prices again. You may have got a real big steal there, man. So, but yes, it is always a good thing to take profit and then use that cash on the side to again, for small bags, maybe even want to top up your big bags, whatever. Personally, I'm going to pretend here that that's a good altcoin that you've invested in here and you're like 8x up and you like the altcoin, I would just keep it. And if it's got good fundamentals too. Matt says, at the current prices, should we prioritize adding QNT or Hbar? QNT is still a really good price, but Hbar is your biggest bag, so I wanted to know your opinion. So there should always be, in my opinion, a cap towards like how much you want to accumulate of that token. For me, I've hit my cap, and for me, I'm not buying any more Hbar. I'm topping up and finding other coins, right, within my maximum limit here. So let me have a quick look for you, man. So Hbar. It all depends on the price too, because the difference between 5 cents, which is my average buy-in for Hbar here, versus 6.5 cents is 1.5 cents. That doesn't sound like much, but realistically, when you think about it, when you're looking at multiples here, I hit a 50x a lot earlier than you. So if I'm looking for a 50x with Hbar, just pluck that number out of thin air, by the way. I'm looking for like $3, but you're looking for like $4. That's a big difference when you look at the growth of that. So actually, maybe there is a website. I use it for my recent video, which will tell you what we're dealing with here. Where is it? There it is, coin stats. Let's use Hbar. Hello? Hello? It's not working. All right, so we bought in, let's just say we bought in, this price here. Let's say, oh God, I hate this. How much is it going to, let's just say $10,000. Right, and then so at $3, right? Total, what's this? Total profit 451,000, but you're actually getting 461, of course, minus your cost basis. But if I got in at 5 cents, right, only a measly 1.5 cents cheaper, sounds negligible. 600K again, 6.5, 460. Let's just look at the profit. 450. Versus 590. Okay, 450 profit, 450, 590. That's $140,000 more. Huge. So you can really see the difference here. So that's why I like topped up my Hbar bag when Hbar was that low. I just like Hbar. I think it's got I like it more. Maybe because I'm biased towards layer 1 projects. That wasn't your question though. QNT right now is $100, and so we're looking at a like 6.5 cent Hbar. I don't think that's a good time to buy it. As you saw before, we mostly had prices at down here. So 5 cent. Like, look at the last 12 months, man. We opened up way down here. Basically, you really should have bought at 5 cents or less. So if you're buying up here, if we have a look at the average, you're basically buying at a price has only been in the last 12 months, likely about 20% of the time. So that's bad. But QNT, last 12 months, look at this. $100. All right. We've been at $100 here. We've been around this price rather down like a lot. So we've been underneath that a lot less rather. That's a better time to buy than Hbar. Does that make sense? I like to look at just like the last 12 months action because that's basically the bear market. And so this is just a better time to buy versus the projects. Because I just wouldn't want to add in my Hbar holding at this price. It's just so inflated right now. That's why, so you guys know I've been talking a lot about Chainlink, right? And I've been pushing Chainlink, and when they come up with the upgrade, and I was pushing it, and I was telling you guys it's an amazing project. It's going to do really, really well, and it has been performing well, and it will do even better as we come up. These upgrades are huge. And of course, it was propagated by the big October news, whatever. But the last 12 months, I didn't buy any of it because here I'm thinking price is going to go lower, 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 lower. And of course, this was one of the first movers. So of course, I didn't catch it. I got to catch other altcoins that I was eyeing off, luckily. But I'm not buying Chainlink right now because look at the last 12 months, right? If Chainlink was still down here, okay, trading within the range it was, like at 650, then yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, because that's pretty well on par with the last 12 months. But up here, absolutely not. And, you know, Hbar is, again, it's only been in the price it has been the last 12 months, 20% of the time, basically. A little top up here and up here, that's it. 80% of the time, you could say 80% all down here was when we could have bought cheaper. Whereas Quant is, now I've lost it. Other way around, basically. You've been higher 80% of the time and lower 20% of the time. So that's the way I would put it. And so asking me out of the two, I would use that as a basis, right? I would say, well, okay, so Quant's just a better price right now, as we saw with the difference here between 5 and 6.5 cents. We're talking about $140,000 at $3. You know, that's a lot of money to be missing out on. And so if we have a dip, you'll be hating yourself that you bought Hbar at 6.5 cents. If we have a dip down to $80, well, hey, I still bought Quant at a good price. Big deal. QNT has low volume, but that's the thing, man. A lot of projects have low volume before they pump. Most of the projects, my man, that you know and love, right? This is volume. People raving about volume. And I used to be this way too. That means jack shit in this market. You see, volume would be important if Quant was being like, if all these projects are being adopted, right? Because you look at like Solana, like, oh, Solana has all this massive volume, but the volume really isn't coming from the token being used as gas. The volume's coming from people buying and selling the token. So all volume indicates is somewhat interest, either negative or positive or both in the project. So low volume, and again, I can't criticize anyone for this because this is what I used to think myself. Volume was an indication. I used to do what I was taught from other influencers. Work out the ratio between market cap and volume. And if it's between these certain levels, it's a good thing. If it's lower than this level, if it's lower than a 1 to 200 ratio, it's bad. It doesn't matter. This will pump. Like, look at Mina Protocol. Went to like $1.1 billion in volume instantly when it pumped. Back down again. And it's the same with all these tokens. The fees are so negligible that you'd have to have billions of people leveraging it for it to be at the same volume. The volume's only high because people are buying and selling it because it's the hot news of the day. That's it. So don't be discouraged by the low volume in Quant. You know, this is basically people buying and selling it. Like, yeah, for sure. Like, you know, the overledger being used, so on and so forth, and all these things coming out. Like, you know, all the licensing fees, so on and so forth. Like, yeah. But the same can be said for all the other layer one projects too. I'm not calling you out, by the way, MDOP. I'm just like saying, like, that's what I like very recently just learned myself, man. So it's always an ever learning game. Don't be discouraged by that. But the thing is, like, most people will see that and go, oh, well, it's bad. So that is like something we have to be concerned about. Again, the herd mentality. What do most people think? Okay. And, you know, like look at Coke, for example, right? When Ronaldo, you know, had the water and the Coke there and he was doing the interview, simple interview, and he like pushed the Coke aside and said like water, agua. And Coke like dropped like 15% like instantly, right? The share price. It's just pure like people panicking. Like it's nothing more than fear mongering. So we have to assess that, of course, and like these basic stats go into it. I think a big bonus for Quant is the low supply. That's what D Jones will soak up. So yeah. I hope that helps you, my man. I hope that like provides more insight. Morning, John. How's it going, my man? Clear those eyes. I follow Cheeky too. Oh, let me pull this up here for you, Terrence. I follow Cheeky too, and they said it'll go lower, but I don't think it'll go that low, seeing that it's just pumping and pumping. Oh, maybe you're responding to someone else. My bad. Is 200 Quant enough to be a millionaire for this bull run? Let's figure it out, my man. Let's figure it out. I've just been using this in my last video. I've seen a few other influencers use this. I mean, I like to do the maths myself, but it's just way more interactive and fun when we have a tool, right? So, okay, let's just say we have a $100. Oh, not $1,000. $100 buy price average. I think if you invest 200 Quant, that's what 2,000. Oh, that's $20,000 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's $20,000. Ooh. So $20,000, you buy 200 Quant at today's price, and I think that Quant should actually go to 2,000. Well, let's be realistic. Let's just be conservative. I think $1,000 would be conservative. I think 1,500 would be like in the middle ground. So that's kind of what you're dealing with here. So $300,000. So you wouldn't be a millionaire. You'd actually be quite a bit off it. You'd be 3/4 the way off it right there. Not 3/4, 1/3 basically. Yeah. So for you to be a millionaire with Quant would have to go to like, wow, $5,000, my man. That's crazy. That's crazy. So that is unlikely to happen, because let's just do what we learned from last night's stream and like get $5,000 and then just figure out worst case. Now, it won't be this, but let's just work on worst case here. By the supply, Quant's market cap would have to be $74 million. Now, actually, that's possible. That's possible, but I'm telling you right now, Quant's going to have some pretty outstanding news. As you will, I think it's tonight's video. I forget which videos. Either way, guys, when we're talking about like Solana and Chainlink, I mean, Cardano, these projects basically 100x in a bull market with a cap of $2.9 trillion. Now, if we're talking about this market going to 7-8 trillion, more institutional investors than ever before, these projects, remember this, when they say building in the bear, we really mean it. These projects have been building, gaining connections, most importantly, gaining more recognition within the crypto space as well. We all know about these projects now. How many of us knew about these projects last bull run? Likely zero, or very few of us. Yeah, so we're going to have more money in the space. It wouldn't surprise me if something like this happened out of the blue, but Quant's got to do quite a bit to get to this level. Actually, it'd be a lot less, because realistically, I'd probably say about 12,500,000 tokens roughly, because those won't actually all come out. So let's just say roughly 12,500,000. You should always do worst case, but yeah, it might even be as low as like $62 million. So, but that's going to be a long shot. That's for a $5,000 target, by the way, and that's how you would become a millionaire. By the way, I only have 150 Quant myself, so I'm not looking to make big bucks with that. Hbar is still cheap. Every meal was eaten by sellers. Yeah, it's still cheap. Like 6.5 cents is still cheap. But really speaking, I would I've urged you guys, and this is actually something I learned from a guy I used to watch all the time, Suppoman. Like I learned quite a few important things from him. He's very much like a Pumpermentals type influencer, which is good. That's what you have to focus on. But I learned a lot from him, and I respect him, actually. A lot of people don't like him. I respect him, though. Yeah, he taught me, you know how much you need to make from the market. You know your multiples. Therefore, you know your entry level. For me, that was 5 cents. If it's over that, you just don't buy it, because you're only going to be disappointed in yourself. So as long, by the way, MDOP1, it's still a cheap price, I agree, but only if you're expecting to get less multiples, basically. Let's go, John. If you're still here, my man, that's awesome. Good morning. Coffee and no BS is becoming my morning routine. I'm really happy to hear that. Robert over here with the $2. Thank you for the donation, Rob. Would 15,000 dot get you $1 million? Whoa, man, that's a lot of dot. Jesus Christ. What are you doing with that much dot, man? What even, like, see, this is the thing I hate about this calculator thing. You can't put in how much you actually own. You have to put in the investment amount. Now I've got to do some math. Oh, wait, hang on a second. Never mind. Well, let's just own 15,000 dot. Well, what buy-in price did you get in at? That's at 75,000. Is that what you spent? Well, if let's just say you bought in at an average of $5. Like, that's what it's been mostly at. So 75,000. Buy price is $5. Sell price is, I think it could go to $50. Actually, I think it'll dip more than its all-time high. I think like 75 to $100 is on the cards here. But like, this is the thing. Like, that's great. It comes up $1 million profit, so you profit that $1 million 50,000. But you don't want to be timing the exact top either, right? You don't want to be doing that. That's dangerous. So you really want to be ladder selling a lot sooner than that. So really, like, your actual exit should be around about, I would say, like maybe 65-ish. So yeah, maybe you can like push it up. But I've like exited dot because the whole governance thing, you know, like a couple live streams ago, I couldn't give you guys an exact number, but I like went back and have a look. They've given like $2 million worth of dot to like one influencer for marketing. $2 million worth of Polkadot. Oh, there you go. There you go. So yeah, even better for you, man. Even better. You said $4.66, even better, bro. Excellent. So you would hit basically $1 million at 65 average sell. But that's kind of why I got a bit spooked. But, you know, these things come and go. Yeah, MDO, I mentally find it harder buying when I'm already up 100% in profit than if I'm already down anyway. Algo comes to mind. Yeah, okay. No, you know, I agree also with you guys here. Algorand's a bit of a tough one. It's like 15 cents right now. It was down like 8 cents. It's like, ugh. Another one, by the way. Guys, you're going to hate me for this. Well, we agreed on it together, but the $5,000 portfolio that we are not officially announcing just yet, no one knew this was going to happen, of course, but when we pumped up over here I think we did most of our analysis at like, where was it? Around 20 cents, 19 cents. I was like adamant it's going back down to 16 cents. Wait, no, hang on. Maybe my timeline's mixed up here. Yeah, I think it pumped above 16 cents and it stayed above 16 because I was like, we are going to go back down to 16 cents, but the market did change, of course. It went full bull. So a bit of a shame we didn't pick this up at a good price. It's now double basically what it was down here at 16 cents. Bit of a shame. This is the game, right? This is the game. The markets swing on a dime. So we can't kick ourselves for this. We have to mold with it. That's the best thing I can say. Have a look at Alluvium. Jesus, what are you saying here, brother? You saying it's $2,400? Oh no. Yeah, okay. So Alluvium is a really interesting game. They claim AAA. I don't know about that. What constitutes AAA is thrown around just as much as like, you know, infinitely scalable, instant finality, the fastest blockchain. It's like the equivalent of that for gaming. I think he's going to go a lot higher than the last bull run's high. Where was the last bull run's high? He said he had $2,800. Sure, but yeah, I mean, gaming. I'm telling you guys, I'm owning two gaming altcoins this bull run. Now, I commented recently on Mr. Becker's post. You guys know Alex Becker, surely. If you know gaming, you know Alex Becker. Where are we here? Replies. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah. All right. What did Becker say? He said he can't trade for shit, but what he does know is that, well, I can't find it in here, but he basically said what he does know is gaming will pump last. And I agree with him. I commented, I agree with you. Based on my analysis, I'm going to take myself off because I want to show you guys this. based on what and you've seen my video, surely, right? Gaming pumps last. And I believe it'll pump last again. Out of all the narratives, layer one, like metaverse gaming, of course, DeFi, NFTs, all that shit, very, very last. Gaming. And I think, and what he says is it'll happen again. He quoted some recent event, the recent gaming pump happened after, I don't know, he used some data in that. I obviously haven't researched it for the purpose of the live stream, but he said it's pumping last because recently it pumped last, and I was like, I can back that up for sure. Let's bring you back in full screen in here. So you guys know in my videos I've broken down. I'm surprised no one else has done this before. Like many things I do in crypto, I'm surprised no one else has done this. Okay, so like these are all like, so payments, just use these two. And in my course, I go in a lot more detail, of course, with these and break down more. But we can see their peaks over here, XRP, XLM, they peaked over here. This is Bitcoin, by the way, is peak in orange. And so these peaked in the first Bitcoin pump, right? And they got nowhere near it in the second pump, the main pump. And so if you're caught holding your bags over here thinking, hey, Bitcoin's going to go up to $100,000 or Bitcoin's going to go up to $69,000, you know, like, I'm going to sell my XRP and XLM at the top as well. Well, that never came close. Chances are you'll be left holding the bag. Now, layer ones pump differently. They didn't pump over here with payments. They pumped over here by themselves. As you can see, right? The list goes on. And Oracle was pumped at the same time. They had a couple different pumps together. IoT, depending on the primary and sub narratives, you guys know. I'm not going to go into it too much here, but gaming pumped last. Gaming was like way out, like very far. As you can see, Bitcoin pumped here, right? And these pumped way out here. Now I know, right? This little blip looks like maybe a couple of days. We're talking months out here. So Bitcoin hit its peak. As you can see, it was already falling way back down to, the price isn't showing here, but it would have been about like, I don't even know, maybe 50K. People were starting to panic, and gaming altcoins were still on a tear here, as you can see, pumping past, right? So yeah, these are only a few examples of it. So I believe Becca's right in this case. And so what I plan to do is we've got time for gaming. You see a list? We've got time. All this. This is during the bull run, by the way. This is during 2021. We're 2 years away from this. This will be 2025 for us. We have all that time to just pick the right altcoin, get into it. I don't play games, but it showed Illuvium to the younger gen, and they love it. Just saying, yeah, this is it. If the gameplay loop in that is like really good, like what you have to do to level up and so on and so forth, I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. They've been developing this thing for a while now. One of the more prominent, I guess you'd say, AAA games in the space, single games, not gaming studios. I believe it's going to do really well. So, guys, holy shit. We've been on this live stream for an hour and 5 minutes. Normally by this time, I'm like exhausted. I'm just like, I have to go. But this went quick, guys and girls. This went really, really quick. So we're going to end it here because time flies when you're having fun. Thank you all for being and running through this with me. Tomorrow's going to be an interesting live stream. I want you all to be coming in here because what I'm doing tomorrow, unless there's like massive news that must be spoken about, we're going to touch on what altcoins I'm buying for 2024 and make that less more about the news to begin with. And we're going to do something a bit different here. And we're going to just touch on altcoins and look more deeply into altcoins. So if you want to find some plays, I'm going to spend most of tomorrow looking at these plays for us for the live stream. You're going to want to come on. All right. That being said, thank you for being here. And please, you could do me a massive favor by liking the live stream right now before you head off. It would mean a lot. I would really, really appreciate that. Tells me you enjoy it. So thank you all. Take good care. Have a great morning, evening, afternoon, and I will see you this time tomorrow. Bye, guys.